Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
At Villere's Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villere's provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villere's Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
C&C Drugs is a family-owned pharmacy that's been serving Southeast Louisiana for over 50 years. Whether you need help taking care of an elderly family member, a growing child, or even a pet, C&C provides patient-centered care for your entire family. C&C Drugs, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Locations in Mandeville and Araby.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Over the next hour, we'll cover all the home teams as we always do. Saints, Tulane, LSU, Pelicans, all on tap. We'll even talk a little bit about LSU's Freeport and their incredible run. Breaking it down for us, Garland, Gillen of Fox 8 Sports. He does it all. He's the only reporter to have an opportunity to sit down and do one-on-ones with Coach John Summerall of Tulane and Coach Brian Kelly of LSU. So we'll talk some LSU and Tulane football as well today. So again, a really stacked show. Of course, Garland, Gillen of Fox 8 Sports is our guest. Garland, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. You know, they always say June, July, it's so slow. Are you kidding me?
No.
I mean, with Saints OTAs, they got mandatory minicamp coming up. Pelicans is heating up free agency. It just goes and rolls and rolls. I even been covering some high school 7-on-7. Recruiting never stops. So don't worry. People always like, oh, you just chilling all summer? No. I am not chilling all summer. Well, I am definitely working it.
You don't, because again, you cover high school sports, you cover college sports, you cover professional sports, you cover the whole gamut here.
I like to stay busy, and the high school recruiting goes year round, and with the 7-on-7, I'll be, at OTA's mini camp is coming up, and then LSU football is right around the corner also. Keeping busy. Pelicans, they got the draft coming up, and then summer league and free agency. It never stops, and off the court there's always some kind of transgressions we're covering also. So we keep rolling.
All right, now look, you got a brand new show. Tell everybody about it. Again, it's an exciting show, an interview show you're doing now. The name of the show and how folks can find it.
The Garland Gillen Show. It's on Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. It's also, I have a YouTube page now. I needed to find a home. I know I've come on your show before, and I pumped that I'm on X and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, but I need somewhere to host all my Garland Gillen Show episodes. So Garland Gillen Show on YouTube. That's where I have the episodes. So far, I've gotten Brian Kelly and John Summerall. I got Archie Manning, the legend. Emeril Lagasse came on. I thought that was really cool. And then the last one I got was Barry Kern Kern, Mardi Gras floats. I mean, when you think of Mardi Gras, he's right up there. He's one of the people you think about. And I got to talk to him about all the floats and Bacchus and Endymion. So we're talking different things. I'm gonna mix in with some food. I got some pizza one coming up and all that. But between that and Garland on the Avenue, and I got my food blog, which I just did a new story this coming week. So I stay busy. There's no doubt.
And he's got some boys at high school now.
I got. They're going to be in 9th grade. Got one playing football right now. One's doing cross country. So I'm getting up at 5 a.m. this summer. I'm just rolling. Okay, there is no chill in the Gillen family and with me also.
He'll sleep when he's about 65.
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, let's get started with first of all LSU and of course the the Baton Rouge Regional. I find that a lot of LSU fans were upset by this, by the loss to Little Rock, especially the first one again, where they stranded 11 base runners. Again, the issues that they had, and then of course they end up winning again the second game, Game 7, which again they won the region with. I just felt like that they ran into a hot team that had a tremendous amount of confidence. And look, Garland, and we've talked about it. If you've ever played a team sport before and you get on a little bit of a run with that team where you feel like you're invincible, you feel like you can't lose, that's what I felt like Little Rock was. Again, after they lost to LSU in the first game of the regional, almost again, they caught fire, there was belief, and they rode it all the way again to the championship game of the regional.
They entered the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament 19-32. The only way they got in was on a coin toss. They were tied with another team for the 8th seed. They won the coin toss. They won 5 games in a row. They were the only team in the NCAA tournament with a losing record. So you could say they were possibly the worst team in this in the regionals. They were just on an absolute heater. The center fielder dove and caught two fly balls. The shortstop made a sick play. LSU did help them out a little. I think they had 11 walks in that contest. So LSU pitching was a little dicey in that game, especially Newt only going, a little over 1 inning of work. So I'm not putting it all on LSU. Yes, Bear Jones has had some problems in the regional, and he had in the last month of the regular season. But I just think that they were on an absolute heater. I mean, they are not the only team, LSU, that was dealing with a regional where teams are coming out of nowhere. I mean, Ole Miss got knocked out by the Murray State Racers. That was a shocker. Columbia put a dent in Southern Miss's regional. They beat Southern Miss. Then Southern Miss got knocked out by Miami. So they're on any given day, and Ben McDonald said it on the broadcast, he said if LSU played Little Rock in football, LSU would win 100 times. There's no doubt about it. LSU would run them out the building in football. But in baseball, you get one guy, a pitcher that's hot, makes some plays in the field. You got the 8-hole hitter knocking the ball around the yard. It was just a perfect storm for Little Rock Trojans in that regional.
The question is now, as they go into the Super Regional against West Virginia, and of course we were talking before the show, LSU is still the odds-on favorite to win it all, right?
Odds-on favorite to win the College World Series, and I think that just goes to show how dominant their aces are, okay? When you have Cade Anderson and Anthony Einson, who I think are number 1 and number 3 in strikeouts in the NCAA, you have 2 of the best starters possibly on one team together at LSU ever. Like they're talking like the 90s teams where they won 4 World Series in the decades in the 90s. They won 2 in the 2000s. This is one of the most dominant teams. 2009, I was in Omaha. Anthony Renato and Lewis Coleman were like really good, and then Matty Ott from Holy Cross was the closer. That was a strong crew of pitchers. They're talking about Anthony Einson and Cade Anderson being the most lethal 1-2 punch in the history of the LSU baseball program. So that shows you how good they are. I think West Virginia is possibly going to run into a buzzsaw this weekend with those 2 guys pitching. If the hitting can just carry it along, I think they found something with that lineup where they put Ethan Fry up to 2, move Bear Jones to 6. I think that's something that they figured out there. Jay Johnson tinkered with the lineup. Catcher had 2 home runs in the in that Monday night game, so they got hot at the right time.
And something else was mentioned on my show about Hernandez, again how he played, and again playing the entire series, right? And of course again coming out and really being one of the heroes in the championship game as well with those home runs.
Yeah, and he was a home run hitter coming out of Indiana State. He transferred this offseason to the LSU. And he had homers, I think he had 16 homers last year for the Sycamores, Indiana State. So he's finally showing that he has that pop in the bat. Daniel Dickinson, another big transfer, had 2 homers earlier in the regional. So the transfers are starting to step up. Anthony Einson obviously is a transfer also, but then Cade Anderson's from St. Paul's.
Yes.
He's a homegrown guy, but it's all starting to build right now. And they were the favorites going into the regionals to win the College World Series, and now they're still the favorite to win it all. And they've been in this situation before. A lot of those guys were on that 2023 team, and now they can possibly do it again in 2025.
Casey Evans, again, a magnificent showing coming in relief. I had 12 strikeouts, 9 in a row, 71. He threw 71 strikes on 109 pitches. He'd only thrown 85 pitches previously in that season against Tennessee was the highest output. Is he your third starter? Can they count on him as the number 3 guy if they get to Omaha?
I think that's what they're going to possibly have to do, especially with Newt struggling so much.
Right.
And then Zach Cowan didn't do too well either in his last pitching outing. So, yeah, I think Kason Evans might be your third starter. I know they like Chase Shores a lot also. There's a few other guys, but that's a good call. I mean, if you can go Cade Anderson and then Ianson in Omaha, then boom. Yeah, or you're talking about the regional this weekend also against West Virginia.
Right. But you think that this weekend it's going to probably be 2 in barbecue for West Virginia, right?
I think I'm going on just pitching alone.
Pitching alone, right?
Yeah, like you're gonna get like 6, 7, 8 innings out of Anderson, and then you're gonna get the same out of Ianson. I just think West Virginia is in trouble because of the nasty 1-2 punch that LSU has. If LSU can just get like 2 or 3 runs on offense, they can win both those games. Yeah, so I personally think that it's 2 in barbecue for West Virginia. I don't think they've ever seen an atmosphere like this, and you could tell in the first game of the regional, it got to Little Rock. I think after Little Rock got some confidence and came out of the losers bracket, it didn't phase them by Sunday night.
Right.
But I think that first game on Saturday at 1 o'clock, I mean, it's going to be full throttle. LSU fans are probably going to get there at 6 in the morning. They're going to be very loud. Sunday at 5 p.m., woo, that's going to be a rowdy crowd also. So I think that's going to overwhelm them. 2
question marks that still, again, are really kind of haunting this team, and that is, 1, the bullpen. How deep can they go there? Let's take that one first.
Yeah, Newt struggle. Maverick Rizzi's has had some decent outings also. But if you can get Kason Evans and Zach Cowan to continue what they've been doing all year, I know they lost Gavin Gidger before the season even started. Man, he was lights out in that 2023 World Series as a freshman coming out of Barb. He looked fantastic. Yeah, you're still dealing with the middle relief. I really wish the kid out of Catholic High, he's just not getting a lot of innings this year. William Schmidt, he turned down probably millions of dollars to come to Baton Rouge. He'll get his chance, I think, in the future because Ianson and Anderson will both be gone. They will go to the Major League Draft, so that's when you're going to get an Evans. You might get a William Schmidt as starters next year. And then, I mean, last year they destroyed it in the transfer portal. They're going to do that again. They've already picked up a guy already.
Right. Number 1 transfer portal class, number 1 recruiting class for Jay Johnson and LSU. Again, that's what you're seeing, the byproduct of that right now in terms of this team. But again, the hitting, you mentioned it. You mentioned tinkering with the lineup, trying to get some consistency in terms of the hitting. They've been living off their pitchers in a lot of cases. Going getting to Omaha, pitching again gets a little bit stronger. And of course, we're stepping ahead a little bit because we do believe, again, that LSU is a better team than West Virginia. How do they solve that? Is it the tinkering of the lineup? Do you think they can get hot here? The hitting has been inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, the Rock is Derek Curiel, the leadoff hitter, and it's pretty crazy to say the Rock because he's a true freshman and he's the main guy, but I think they found someone with Ethan Fry batting second. Stephen Monster Milam has been kind of up and down. He had a really strong regional last year in North Carolina. So you want to see a little more out of Monster Milam. The back end of the order, third baseman, I think he's just known more for defense. And, you want to see a little more out of him. But I think with Dickinson and the Pearson brothers, I think they can definitely figure this out. I hope that Bear Jones, who's had a rough last month, can kind of. I made that last home run he hit. Will kind of ignite him to get back there because he's one of the leading home run hitters in LSU history right now.
Yeah. Any concerns with the fielding at all?
I think they're 982. It's one of the best in Major League Baseball. Right. I think they got a little off kilter on Monday night when Milam threw the ball a little Dickinson. I'm not as worried about defense there. I think they'll be fine.
No, am I. All right, let's talk about LSU Shreveport. Wins the NAIA World Series, this year's NAIA Baseball Championship with a perfect record of 59-0, the longest winning streak in college baseball history. Your thoughts on this? And you went back and looked at their schedule, so you get a little bit in depth into the situation, but it was an incredible feat.
Yeah, their conference isn't that strong. Let's just be honest. It's not a strong conference. Louisiana Christian's in there, Xavier's in there. They beat, there was one weekend series where I never even heard of the school, and they won I think they won by a combined 50-2 for a 3-game series. But to every night And we just talked about this. Like Little Rock just got hot and beat LSU that one night. All you need is like one pitching performance, and that's it. And then that's that loss there. Even in their final game, the Pilots were down, and then they came back and won. But to get to 59-0, it'll probably never be done again. I know it's NAIA, which is it's Division I, Division II, Division III, and then NAIA, and then below that JUCO, which is like Delgado and those teams there. So yes, it's down a few rings in college baseball, but you got to tip your hat to them, and they're going to get they got an offer to go to the White House, which for an NAIA school that is really impressive.
That's incredible. And speaking of NAIA, what Loyola's been able to do with their program, with Brett Simpson building that program, a lot of people again are talking about them moving up and maybe to the south or moving up out of the NAIA. Your thoughts on that?
I think it has to do with facilities. Like, what are they going to do with these facilities? If you've ever been to a Loyola Wolfpack game, and I have, I mean, it's in like a gym.
Right.
It's on the third floor of a gym in a parking garage. It's not, you don't feel like it's big-time basketball at all. And then the baseball team has the hall all the way to Bayou Signet, which is next to the Hilario Center in West Wego. That is not also a great situation for them. They used to be at the Fly.
Right.
That field was okay. Back in the 90s, that's where they play at the Fly. Now they're at Bayou Signet.
So it's about facilities for you.
I think it's about facilities, because I know Loyola has some alumni that have some money that could definitely get them into Division. Well, Division III is non-scholarship. Division II is scholarship. The players at Loyola are under scholarship right now. Okay, this is not just kids paying their own way. We talked about the same situation when Loyola won the national championship in basketball, and there was that kind of talk also. But I don't know if the higher-ups have a hunger to move out of the NAIA and out of their conference. So until I see a concrete plan of some new facilities, which I don't know where they're going to go.
Well, they're landlocked like Tulane.
They have nowhere to go. Like they have nowhere to go at Loyola, and that basketball arena, or whatever you want to call it, a gym, a fitness center, is not up to standards.
Yeah, and I would not think that Tulane and Loyola would share facilities.
No. Tulane.
I don't think that's happening.
Well, no, because you got Tulane volleyball plays their games there. You got Tulane women's basketball, Tulane men's basketball there. You can't move all that in and out, and there's no other legitimate basketball arena around. You know, Smoothie King Center, they close it in and out right after the game. They tear that court down.
No doubt. All right, let's talk some football. Let's start with LSU. 33 new players, 27 transfers, 6 recruits. Kelly called this roster, 2025 roster, the best he's assembled at LSU. It's the number one recruiting, number one portal class, right?
Number one transfer portal class, and right now for 2026, it kind of goes back and forth with USC on the number one recruiting class, but obviously those guys are 2026, so they're not going to help you on the field this year. But I think the positive momentum with NIL and the transfer portal, and finally they're getting alumni to put up some money. The Advocate reported that they had over $13 million put up to the NIL money. The year before that, it was $5 million.
Right.
So LSU got embarrassed. You go 8-4. Brian Kelly and those guys have suffered some bad losses on the back end, where you go from A&M to Bama and then Florida. 10 quarters, that was an absolute disaster for LSU. So what does it take? It takes money, okay? Brian Kelly tried to build it up through recruiting in high school. It just didn't work, okay? You need guys that you can plug and play right away. And with the transfer portal, I can name 10 guys right off the top that are going to get significant playing time for the purple and gold this year.
Give us a few.
Oh, yeah. If you want to start at receiver, Nick Anderson out of Oklahoma is a speedster. Bernard Berrien is another speedster wide receiver. Those guys, I think, are going to see significant playing time. Destin Hill suffered an injury during spring ball. He, of course, went to Edna Carr, was at Florida State. Destin Hill's another receiver. So that's just 3 at that spot. Then if you go over to tight end, okay, yes, Trey'Dez Green is an unreal freak at tight end. He's 6'7", he can catch anything, but he doesn't block as much. They bring in Bauer Sharp. I think they're going to do a lot of 12 sets where you get 2 tight ends on the field at a lot of periods of the game. And Bauer Sharp and Trey'Dez Green can be out there at the same time. So you're already talking about receivers, tight end, and then on the offensive line, you got Thompson coming in from Virginia Tech. You got the other offensive lineman coming in from Northwestern. So those two guys are going to come in. I think they're going to start right away also. So then you go to defensive edge. Between Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton out of Florida State and Jack Pyburn out of Florida, those guys are going to be in the rotation quickly. So there you go right there. And then if you go to the cornerback, and you got Mansour Delane's probably going to start out of Virginia Tech at the other opposite corner, I think, with Ashton Stamps out of Rummel. I think those are going to be your two guys. And then at safety could be two transfers into Marcus Cooley and A.J. Halsey out of Houston.
Right. Your thoughts on where this team is now in terms of strengths and weaknesses after the recruiting class, after the transfer portal, and again also the defections that they had as well?
It's got to be offensive line. In my interview with Brian Kelly, you can find it on the Garland Gillen show. It's on my YouTube page. I asked him, I think that's going to make or break the team this year. They had 4 offensive linemen they lost. Last year was supposed to be the biggest strength of the team. Right. It wasn't. So now all you have returning is DJ Chester. You got 2 guys at left tackle and right tackle. Weston Davis is starting at right tackle. Tyree Adams at left tackle out of St. Aug. Those guys have never started those positions for a full season. So those guys are coming in. And then you got Thompson and the other guy, his name escapes me. He's going to come to me in a second. But those guys are coming in also. So it's got to be the offensive line because you got Garrett Nussmeier, 4,000 yards returning at quarterback there. He's the only quarterback in America that has 4,000 yards that's going to be a returning starter at quarterback.
Weeks and Perkins be ready for camp?
They definitely seem like they're ready for camp. Yeah, Weeks at linebacker with Devon Keys. Those 2 guys are going to be awesome. And then Harold Perkins at the new star position, which Blake Baker's done numerous interviews. He's hyped up. He's ready to roll with those 2 guys. So yeah, I think that they're going to be good to go. I've said on Garland the Avenue, on Overtime Final Bet, that over/under win total of 8.5 is crazy. Like I can't understand how it's still at 8.5. If this team goes 8-4. They're firing, like they're gone. That coaching staff is gone. Okay, if you think that they're gone, if Brian Kelly this is last season, that's where you're betting on going the under. I think this is a 10-win team. Okay, I think this team is a playoff team. They got all the pieces to go in place. Their 2 big road games are Alabama and Ole Miss. Okay, Alabama's got a new quarterback in Ty Simpson, who's never started before. Austin Simmons is a new starting quarterback at Ole Miss. Then Oklahoma, that's your other big road game. Some of the biggest games of the season are going to be at home. You got A&M at home. You got Florida at home. So I think that it sets up well. I hate to say this, but a lot of it might just depend on what happens in week 1.
Let's talk about the SEC as a whole. Your thoughts, again, on the strength of the conference.
Well, Texas, and I did a preseason poll that I put out this week on Football Food. I have Texas Longhorns number 1, and people will point out that Arch Manning only has 2 starts. But I think he's actually an upgrade over yours at quarterback. I think that he has some great weapons around him. So I have Texas in number 1. Some people are higher on Alabama. I'm not. Georgia people are high on. Gunnar Stockton was very unimpressive in the Sugar Bowl. So they got some issues. Tennessee losing their quarterback to UCLA. They might take a step back. So I feel like Texas is up there, Georgia's up there. I think LSU can be in that mix to be in Atlanta for the SEC championship.
Let's talk about the future of the SEC, again, coming out of the spring meetings in Destin. 9 SEC games, maybe going to 9 SEC games, 1 Big Ten matchup with 2 non-conference games in the schedule. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, Brian Kelly, out of all the people, was very adamant he wants a Big Ten opponent on his schedule every year. If you're going to go to the 16-team playoff, then yes, I have no problem with them going to 9 games. And then you're going to do a Big Ten opponent also. Brian Kelly's talking big. I like it. Because you know what? I like Louisiana Tech, nice program, but I don't want to see them in Tiger Stadium. Right. I want to see the big teams in Tiger Stadium. I don't want to see the Gramblings, the Southerns. Love the people at Nichols, love the people at Southeastern. I just don't want to see them in Baton Rouge for an LSU game.
Before we head to break, and we'll talk about Tulane football on the other side of our break, I did want to ask you one question, because you had a chance to interview Archie Manning.
Yeah.
You've been pretty close to the situation with the Mannings, with again Arch up at Texas. Some people believe Arch is coming out at the end of the season. I do not.
No, I'm with you.
I just think that he's going to need more starts under his belt. I think they know that again, if a quarterback in college football gets about 30 starts, he's ready for the NFL. What are your thoughts? Do you think he stays another year? Do you think he comes out? Do you think it comes down to how many starts he's going to have at Texas, or how well he plays at Texas? What do you think is the future there?
I think he stays another year. I think that unless he wins the Heisman and he wins a national championship,
okay.
that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. Okay.
So they'd let him go with 14 starts to the NFL if that was the case, 14 to 16 starts.
So he's
got 2 starts, and let's say it's a 12-game season.
It's a 12-game season, and then they got the SEC championship game. Then they'll probably get a bye, so he'll play 16 games. You count the 2 starts from last year, 18. I don't think that's enough. I don't either. I think that I'm just saying.
Right.
I don't want to say 100%,
right?
Because if he does win the Heisman and they didn't win a national championship, what does he have to come back for? But I see all these mock drafts and everything, and saying that he's going to go number 1 overall. I just don't see it.
I don't buy it. I just think that the Mannings are smart enough to understand as many starts he's going to get and as much time as he can get on the field at Texas is only going to help him on the next level.
Yeah, no. Look at Jaden Daniels. He got that second year as a starter. Look at Joe Burrow getting that second year as a starter. Look at Garrett Nussmeier. Him coming back for another year, he could maybe go number 1 overall in this upcoming NFL draft. So I think it behooves Arch Manning to come back for another season.
Right.
I think that he's better than yours, but we're going to finally get to see it on the field there. Also, I had to look it up. It was driving me crazy. So Josh Thompson is the transfer from Northwestern that's going to start on the offensive line. Braylon Moore is the center for Virginia Tech. He'll probably start at center. It was driving me crazy. I know your viewers at home are like, come on, Garland, you can get it. Got it. Okay, got it. We're good.
Go. Good deal. All right. When we come back, we'll talk some Tulane football. Well, we got a lot to talk about in the B block. Also, we'll talk Saints OTAs. We'll talk about what's happening again with the economic impact of the Super Bowl. Also, again, the Saints and the state getting close to an agreement to extend the lease. Also, some talk about the Smoothie King Center, again, what will happen there. And, of course, we'll talk about the Pelicans and the Zion Williams saga as well. Garland Gillen of Fox 8 Sports is our guest. I'm Eric Asher. I'm your host. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports. You'll hear from our underwriters. We'll be right back.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar.
Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Garland Gillen of Fox 8 Sports is our guest. Let's talk some Tulane football. As I mentioned, as we open up the program today, Garland's the only reporter in the city on the TV side, I think in print or in radio, that's had an opportunity to interview both Brian Kelly and John Summerall one-on-one. Let's talk Tulane. Much like LSU, huge roster turnover. 33 new players, 1/3 of the roster, 27 transfers, 6 recruits. Of course, the big ones, they lost almost their whole offensive backfield. Your thoughts on the roster turnover, and how does Coach Summerall feel about the roster turnover?
Man, they lost a lot. When you lose your starting quarterback, your starting running back, your starting tight end, you talk about having to flip a lot. The only people that their left guard, left tackle, the only ones that are back on their offensive line. I mean, he had to get a whole new quarterback room, and they're going to have to figure that out. they had T.J. Finley, and you had Caden Samanza, and you had Donovan Leary, and he saw those guys, and he's like, you know what? We need another guy in the room. Right. So then they pull the guy from Iowa.
Right.
And then T.J. Finley, his case is still out there. He's suspended from the program, but he's not been kicked out of school. So he's still there. I don't know what's going, like, I've been keeping updates. So I think if he gets cleared, maybe he can come back. So you might have 4 quarterbacks in the fall. But yeah, it's a tough situation. You put so much stock into Darian Mensah, and then he goes to Duke for a $3 million a year payday. It's just the way it is with Tulane. But John Summerall is like a beast when it comes to the transfer portal. He got some dudes. Their defense is vicious. I mean, Northwestern, week 1, Northwestern will have a new quarterback in Preston Stone, who was at Southern Methodist University. Right. So they have their starter figured out. Tulane has no idea who their starter is right now, and they're still 7-point favorites. Tulane is at home at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Oh.
in August.
Right.
Bruh. How brutal is that heat going to be?
How brutal is it going to be for Northwestern coming from Chicago?
11 in the morning.
Right.
I mean, Tulane's going to be ready for it because that indoor facility will maybe be operational right before the opener, but for most of the summer, Tulane will be outside in the elements.
Right, in the heat. Strength and weakness of this team right now, and it's hard to say because of the roster turnover, but based on what your conversation with Coach Summerall.
I have to say I'm still worried about the quarterback situation.
Right. Of course, which is the biggest position on the field, right?
I was a little surprised their over-under win total right now is 8.5, and I think that's because the AAC is so wide open. They're the favorite right now to win it, and there's not a dominant team in the AAC. I know Horvath is back at quarterback for Navy, which destroyed Tulane in the AAC championship game.
Yes.
You don't even have Navy on the schedule this year. Memphis lost their starting quarterback. They crushed Tulane on Thanksgiving. I have to say, I know it's the easiest path to go to, but I'm really worried about who's going to be the starting quarterback for the team. It hurts also they lost Mekhi Hughes. I like some running backs. They also flipped out over some receivers. So let's see who can get separation out of this wide receiving crew because they lost a good one to the NFL and Mario Williams.
Yeah. Confidence level on T.J. Finley being with this team this year?
I would probably say I'd put it like 20%.
Okay.
I think that he'll sooner or later get cleared of all the charges.
So do I.
But you got to be smarter in these sometimes the situations. Buying cars off of Facebook Marketplace wasn't the smart decision, and I think there's people within the building that were not thrilled that TJ even put himself in that position. And with them getting another quarterback in the transfer portal, I think that kind of signaled that we're done with you. And we're going to move on, and we're going to have the other
unless they all get out there at camp and they start seeing that maybe he needs a T.J. Finley, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that the wheels of justice will move quicker, okay, down on Tulane and Broad, but maybe it might move a little quicker because again, it is a Tulane football player. We'll see how that works out. But I think most people at this point that have kind of looked at this situation believe, look, it was just a bonehead move. It wasn't something that there was no criminal intent there on his part. He made a mistake. So again, we'll see how that plays out. But even if he does come back, do you think if he would be the odds-on favorite to start?
No, I think that he was pushing for the starting job in the spring.
Right.
I think their transfer from Iowa is going to be the favorite going in. I think Leary's got a cannon for an arm, but he's wildly inaccurate. Samanza, he has some escapability, but he doesn't have the arm straight that Leary has. So I would think the transfer coming in that they got after spring portal would be the favorite right now.
Okay, let's move on. Before we get to Saints, before we get to Pelicans, we're going to talk a bit about what happened yesterday in the news, and of course the LSU study that the Super Bowl economic impact of $1.25 million, $5 billion, pardon me, for the state of Louisiana. $500 million in infrastructure improvements came out of that as well. There was a $300 million in earned media value. That's the global branding for the city of New Orleans. And of course, from all everything that we've heard, everything we saw, we were here, we saw it happening again. That it was a great success. Now, back in 2013, the economic impact was $480 million. So again, you see a large growth in terms of that. I don't know if they made any allowances for inflation from 13 to 2025, but again, that still is a huge number, 1.25 billion. And the question going forward is, and I bring this up because Jeff Hundley, the CEO of the Sugar Bowl, was at he spoke at our radio station, had a banquet, and he spoke at the radio station's banquet. And he talked about the cost of doing business now in terms of, again, alluring again major events to New Orleans, sporting events, being the Sugar Bowl still being viable in the national championship race, the opportunity again to be able to bring Super Bowls back to New Orleans, and NBA All-Star games, etc. We know the Dome has been renovated. We expect something's going to happen with the Smoothie King Center soon. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But it's getting harder and harder because, again, it's less about walkability, about the charm of New Orleans. It's more about money, how much money you can put up, again, especially on the collegiate level for these games. When it comes to the NFL, we're getting into another, most of the stadiums have been built, but we're still getting into a situation where there could be some more stadiums that are becoming online. And the NFL rewards Super Bowls there. With Nashville and some other cities coming on board here, it kind of pushes New Orleans out a little bit further. Is it once every 10 years now? Is it once every decade? Your thoughts on, again, the future of this town as a host for major events, first of all?
First off, they need more hotel rooms.
Okay.
They don't have enough hotel rooms. When a ton of people are coming in from Gulfport, Biloxi, that's a problem, okay? Like, I think all the casinos were sold out in the Gulf Coast, in that Gulfport, Biloxi area, because they don't have enough hotel rooms. They're still gonna have to build more, okay? We're stretched thin on hotels when it comes for a big event. Right now, it's fine. You can get a hotel room anywhere in the city right now because it's June, and this is one of the slow months of the year. June, July, August are extremely slow for the city of New Orleans when it comes to tourism and visits. So I think they need more hotel rooms. They need to build another hotel or two that can help out. You mentioned Nashville. They're probably going to get one, I think, 2029. I still think that the experience that everyone had, how easy it is to get around, you talked about the walkability. Yes. I think that will help the Saints in the city and in New Orleans put in a bid for another one. I think they should get one, 2031, I think they're talking about.
Right, 2031.
Yeah, I think that they have a great shot because it helps the Saints that there is no other stadiums being built. Thank goodness, for New Orleans' sake, Buffalo is not putting a roof on that stadium. Right. So that just takes them, they're gone, you're out. Right. I mean, Tennessee is the only new stadium coming around for a little while, and Chicago is a big city, and that'd be, I mean, I know it'd be freezing cold in February, but I'm paying attention to what they're going to do. They're trying to get a new stadium. I hope that's an open stadium.
Right, but they're talking about putting a roof on the stadium.
I hope they don't, because that gives New Orleans another shot of avoiding it. Right. Because some of these places I don't think should get them. I mean, Detroit got one, and I mean, the weather was disastrous up there. Right. I mean, the week in New Orleans, I think I heard one reporter was complaining it was in the 80s and it was too humid.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's January. February, get over it.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt covering Super Bowls when they're in Arlington. Right. So you have the groups in Fort Worth, half in Dallas. When it was in Miami. Right. Yeah, they put the Colts 45 minutes away in Fort Lauderdale. Right. The Saints were in Miami.
And the media room, was in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, it was a total mess there.
It was.
So LA, it's a mess. Like everything, you got a way to go with the bad, and I think New Orleans, everything being so close together helps.
Garland, but other cities are copying New Orleans. They see the triangle, they see the dome, the convention center, and the French Quarter. So they're trying to emulate that. They have more modern stadiums. They have more modern cities. They have more modern. They have Fortune 500 companies, again, that are helping in terms of adding up for these events. My fear, and Jeff Hundley as well, is again that New Orleans, we've always punched above our weight in terms of these events. Can we continue to be, again, in the mix here, keeping the Dome up to date, having the money that it takes to be able to, again, to be hosting these events? Because, again, let's face it, tourism is our bread and butter here in New Orleans. We need these major events to continue to be viable as a city and as a state.
Well, we'll say this. The other major bowl games, okay, the Rose Bowl is a beautiful stadium,
Right.
but it's in Pasadena. There's nothing going on around Pasadena at all. I've been to the Rose Bowl. I covered LSU, played UCLA, and I actually went to the Rose Bowl when I was 10 years old when Michigan played Arizona State in the 80s. Talked about Cotton Bowl in Arlington. You're so far away from everything else, okay?
Right.
Atlanta is the only other one where it is in downtown Atlanta. You're like right there. You can walk. The walkability for Atlanta is very easy. The Fiesta Bowl is in Glendale.
Right.
I mean, you are 30 minutes from Scottsdale. You're like 45 minutes from Phoenix. You're in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden you see this flying saucer in the middle of nowhere in that stadium. So I'm going through all these different places, and they're all far away.
Nashville's the one. Nashville is the one that, again, you've been to Nashville. You've seen where they've got. I mean, their entertainment district is the French Quarter on steroids.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you look at, again, now they've had a great stadium. They're going to discard that stadium. They're going with a brand new stadium now. Their basketball arena is not that far away. I mean, they have made everything downtown in that entertainment district, emulating what we have in New Orleans.
Yeah, the Music City Bowl, not as one of the bigger bowls.
No.
So, but I'm intrigued to see if they put some money behind it to get. Peach Bowl and the Cotton Bowl almost got passed up, and then they kind of reinvigorated with the new stadiums in the mix there. The Sugar Bowl, I think, with the history, is one of the oldest bowls. I think it's the second oldest. I think the Rose Bowl is the only one that's older. I think that people love to come to New Orleans in January. So I think right now they're good. And they have a solid sponsor. They've had Allstate for a long period of time. And I think when you're still getting that money pumped in, that I think you'll be fine.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Mrs. Benson mentioned yesterday that, again, the team and the state are close to an extension. A nearly completed deal is sitting on the governor's desk, a completed package. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, they did the $450 million renovations over multiple years. For the future of the team, I think it's big that they get a contract signed and make it like a 15-year contract because Gail Benson, if they do a 15-year deal, is she the owner 15 years from now? Who knows?
Right.
So you when you're trying to
I think
sell,
it's her last deal.
Yeah.
So again, is it 15? Is it 20? Is she trying to extend this?
Yeah.
Is there a clause in that deal?
They have to.
That if somebody buys it, they have to keep it in New Orleans.
Lee Zurich
all these things have to be part of this, right?
Yeah, Lee Zurich did a succession story and had Lausch and all those guys on the record saying that they're going to put it in a clause in it that they can't move the team. You would hope if Gail's no longer the owner. Todd Graves would probably be one of those guys that would be very interested in the team. He lives in Baton Rouge. He's from Baton Rouge. He's worth, I think, $9 billion. So amazing how much money you can make with 3 chicken fingers and some sauce. But I mean, they're all the way in Abu
they're in
Dhabi.
Dubai. Yeah, they're in Dubai.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine that actually opened up the store in Dubai. So yes, they're in Dubai. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think for stability of the franchise going forward, because season ticket sales will probably be at their lowest point they've been in years. I don't know the numbers right now.
Right.
But I've talked to a lot of people that cancel their season tickets.
Would a new agreement at some point, is it continuing to upgrade the Superdome, or is there talk of a new building?
I've heard no talks about a new football stadium downtown. I know they talked about it like 15 years ago.
Right, on the riverfront. It was going to be very difficult to get to and from. It was going to be difficult.
Yeah,
we know that just living here.
Smoothie King Center. Sooner or later, something has to happen.
It has to happen because why? And we'll get to the Pelicans in a moment. But because when the commissioner comes out and says you have a substandard arena, you better be listening. Okay, and of course. So, and also, again, that's something Ms. Benson's also talking about. They're working on the Smoothie King Center deal now. So I would expect either they're going to implode that and play in the Dome for a couple of years and build a brand new state-of-the-art stadium, or they're going to try to upgrade that stadium again. It'd be interesting to see what direction they go with that.
Yeah, no, the Smoothie King Center, I think, is where you might have to see a new arena. Mark this moment down right now. You might have to replay this 3 years from now. There's a person that's in my ear that's in the know. I know people have made fun of the NHL and New Orleans thing.
I have.
Yeah. There's some outsiders that have billions of dollars that are meeting with the NHL about trying to bring a team here. And my only question was, who's going to go to these games? And that person told me that if they have corporate money and it's coming from outside the state of Louisiana, then you can make money with the NHL TV contracts, and then you could bring in people from Mississippi, Louisiana. So just keep it. Then my next question was, where are they going to put this arena?
Right.
And they said that they got that empty plot of land by the convention center. So I'm not reporting that this is going to happen. I'm just telling you that there's movement behind the scenes that keep this NHL thing going. Okay, I don't need you to go on your radio show and say, Garland, give reports.
No.
But that is a possibility of a new arena there, and it has nothing to do with the Pelicans. And that's just something to watch. 3 years from now, play this video.
Let me be devil's advocate, okay? And I've done it on the radio show, okay? Exact same schedule as the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay, 82 games, extended playoffs, same exact time of the year. How do you do that in that building?
It had to be a new arena.
Then you'd have to have two different buildings. How do you think the Pelicans / Mrs. Benson is going to feel about competition for again, the sports dollar, the exact same season now going up against an NHL team? I think she has the leverage with the governor, and I know the governor has mentioned the NHL team, and maybe that's leverage on his part to try
I think he wants it more than anything.
Right. Well,
he's the one that wants this. He's the one that's pushing for it.
He better stop out-migration is all I can say, because again, you need people to be able to fill those seats.
Trust me, the person I talked to, I was so skeptical. I had like 5 questions for him.
Right.
Sooner or later, I'm going to get somebody on camera on Fox 8. I think in the next like 3 months, I'm going to have somebody on camera, and this person's going to be, I think, worth billions of dollars, and he wants they're going to keep this thing. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but there is an actual interest. And so you're saying to yourself at home, why the heck are y'all talking about hockey? Because you asked me about the arenas.
That's right.
And I think that's another possibility. I'm not saying the Pelicans and this hockey team would share an arena, but I think there might be another arena on tap maybe in like 10 years.
Wow. Again, and I'll say it again. My feeling is, and I've said this on the radio show, I've said on this show, again, everybody talks about Mr. Benson buying the Pelicans. Oh, what a great thing to do, again, for the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. I always felt it was all about, again, how much corporate support you have in New Orleans, the fight for the sports dollar. If you own both franchises, you own it all. You have a monopoly.
Yeah.
I don't think that the Saints, I don't think the Pelicans, I don't think the Bensons want to give up that monopoly in New Orleans.
One other thing I'll add to this. If Gail Benson's no longer the owner of either of those teams.
Different world there.
Yeah. Saints would stay in New Orleans.
Yes.
A new owner might move the Pelicans out, and then that's where your NHL team slides in.
That could happen. It could happen. But again, if they ever turn it around, because we know, again, New Orleans, when it comes to basketball, New Orleans loves a winner. They will support this team.
Yes, they will. But winning cures all, because I was there in 2008 when they were the Western Conference semifinals, Game 7.
Right.
I was ready to go to LA. I could not wait to go to the LA Lakers and Pelicans.
Right.
Hornets at that time in 2008. They got absolutely smoked by the Spurs in Game 7. Crushed my will.
Crushed the entire city, because everybody thought.
Bumming.
And of course, that became the dismantling of the New Orleans Hornets. Okay, let's talk some. I want to get to 2 things more. We got Pelicans to talk about, and we got Saints. Your thoughts? You've been to every OTA practice so far. Everybody wants to know what's going on with Shuck and Rattler. Your thoughts?
Been on that record on numerous shows on Fox 8, even on Garland Avenue and some other outlets. I think that Tyler Shuck should be the starting quarterback for the Saints. I've watched 2 OTAs and 1 rookie minicamp. I don't see anything right now that is so glaring that, oh my gosh, Spencer Rattler is so much better than Tyler Shuck. Right now, I think they're even right now. I think actually Tyler Shuck has a better deep ball. Last week, OTA workout, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Bub Means both had 60-yard touchdown receptions from Tyler Shuck. Effortlessly just threw it down the field, popped. Threw an off-platform throw, right hand is going to his left. Cedric Wilson out on the sideline in like double coverage, almost caught it, didn't get it, but I was like, oh my gosh. You put the juxtaposition to Spencer Rattler. He had a pass in that OTA last Thursday where it was a deep ball, Rashid Shaheed. He was wide open and underthrew him. Now, I know it's only one play, but Tyler Shuck the arm talent is there. He had the best arm talent in the NFL draft this past year. I think he can throw the ball deeper downfield. I think that he's dangerous downfield. Spencer Rattler is going to kill you between the line of scrimmage and 15 yards out. That's where he's going to get you, and I think that's the only spot he can get you at. I don't know if he's a deep ball threat as much. If they're even, I say give it to Tyler Shuck. Their over-under win total is 5.5 right now. We don't expect a lot of this team. You put a lot of resources into drafting Tyler Shuck. He's the first second-round pick they've had a quarterback ever. Yeah. He's the highest drafted quarterback since Archie in 1971. Roll with them. This is the guy you wanted, okay? You got the head coach, Kellen Moore, former quarterback. The OC, Doug Nussmeier, former quarterback. Scott Tolzien, the quarterback coach, former quarterback. They all watched this guy, watched him in Louisville, brought him in for a private workout, and this is their guy. Might as well roll with him.
Do they bring in a veteran backup?
Right now, I think it's going to depend on if Jake Hayner's ready to go for training camp. I don't buy the Kirk Cousins stories.
I don't either.
I thought they would do this, and now I'm more convinced that they should bring in a veteran cornerback and a veteran receiver.
Okay.
I'm still not sold on receiver. Everybody's talking about how Rashid Shaheed and Brandon Cooks and Chris Olave look great in training camp or OTAs. Guess what? No one's hitting them.
That's right.
And last year combined, those three guys missed 27 games, okay? They all have the same body type and build.
I agree.
The big guys are Bub Means, who has not been tested yet. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's had ample opportunities. He's kind of shined a little, but not much. And Cedric Wilson Jr. is on the back end of his career.
Yeah.
So I still think they should get a veteran receiver and a veteran quarterback.
You like Penning at left guard?
I think this is his last shot.
It is.
This is it. This is the last year of his contract. I think this is what they're going to do. This is the strength of their team. You have 4 first-round picks. In the second-round pick, you have at center. Eric McCoy is probably the best player on your team. So that is probably the strength of their team is their offensive line. Yes, I think it's Trevor Penning's last shot. I like him at left guard.
Hard to talk about the 3-4 defense because, again, they're on 7-7s. They're not in pads. But how do you think they look in terms of personnel to play this defense?
Yeah, and Godshaw's not there right now either. He has not showed up at the OTAs, so I can't get a really good lead because I would think that Davin Godshaw would be the starter at nose tackle. Yeah, you got guys standing up on the outside. They're not showing us anything, so I can't get a real big read on this defense so far. I know it's getting everybody excited to be in this 3-4 defense, but I think
but this ain't the Dome Patrol.
The Dome Patrol's the greatest of all time.
Right, okay. Everybody wants to go 3-4, but this ain't the Dome Patrol.
Yeah, this isn't Vic Fangio's defense, and no, this isn't Vaughn Johnson and the crew.
Yeah. So all right, let's switch to the Pelicans. First of all, before we get into the Pelicans, the situation with Zion with the civil lawsuit against him, filed in California by, again, a ex-girlfriend, lover, whatever, but again, denoting physical abuse, rape, kidnapping. There were, again, threats of murder. Your thoughts?
It's a civil lawsuit, not a criminal lawsuit. So this is just for money. I've read everything. I've read the statements from both sides. The thing that strikes me most is that this happened years ago. If this happened years ago, I understand why there wasn't a criminal case against Zion when that happened, and now it's a civil lawsuit years later. Zion's attorneys pointed out that this is her, Jane Doe, this is her third set of attorneys for this case, so read with you may with that also. Gail Benson yesterday was asked, and she said,
lawsuit is a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Lawsuit's a lawsuit. You can sue for anything, unfortunately. Was that the quote? Yeah.
Yes. That was a quote. We used it on Fox 8. Doesn't seem, it seems like she's not surprised that it happened, okay? I think they knew it was coming down the pipeline.
I do too. They wouldn't have had him. They knew he was coming down the pipeline, and they had to feel good about it. They wouldn't have had him at the draft.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have said it at the draft. They wouldn't have. And then what happened today with Joe Dumars coming out and saying that, again, they're not trading Zion.
No, they're not. I don't think they're going to trade Zion. I said it on Overtime on Tuesday night. After everything's going on with him off the court, I still think he's going to be on the team.
Me too. He's their only star. They have no choice.
Only star. And also, Eric, what are they going to get for him right now?
Right. Yeah, he's untradeable at this point. Untradeable. I 100% agree.
And the usual suspects in our local media with their trade machine garbage. putting Giannis in a trade with Zion. What? No. You can't trade Zion right now because no one wants him right now. Right. Maybe before the trade deadline, if he's having 30 points a game and everything, well, then you're probably going to have to keep him anyway because he still has, after this upcoming season, he still has 2 years on the deal. I think he's in New Orleans even after this lawsuit.
And it really kind of negates the report that came out earlier this week that said that that everyone on that roster was tradable.
Yeah,
because they came out today and said Zion is not tradable.
No, I think Zion's there. I think Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, those guys are back.
I do too.
Run it back one more time, okay?
They won 49 games the year before. Injuries are the problem. Again, injuries are going to be the problem as well. They're going to start the season without Murray and Murphy. That's huge for them. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with 7 overall with that pick. Are they going big, or are they going another point guard because of the situation with Murray? Are they going to go with a floor spacer and try to get another shooter? It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But there's some quality players at 7 that they can get that can come in and help that team immediately.
Yeah, and I think the back end of the Western Conference is not as strong. Okay, yes, up front, OKC is an absolute wagon. They'll probably win in 5 games in the finals. I think Oklahoma City is a force going forward. But then you got a lot of aging teams. Okay, the Warriors are an old team. Even though I know Luka Doncic is good, that's all they got. So I think that the Pelicans could definitely slide back into that 5 or 6 seed.
Indiana, Oklahoma City, small market finals. First of all, precursor of the future with, again, the new CBA and that very, very punitive second apron?
Yeah. The second apron's definitely affecting some of these teams. I'm really intrigued to see what the Celtics are going to do this offseason.
I think they're blowing it up.
Yeah, they have a lot of guys on big-time contracts. Yeah. But, yeah, if you can draft well and then you can make a few trades, you can definitely turn this thing around quickly. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was part of the Paul George trade. They got a lot of good draft picks.
Presti's done so great at Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Lou Dort drafted. Chet Holmgren drafted. They got guys on that team that have been drafted, and they just made a few good trades here and there. I love this team. Caruso coming from Chicago. They did it right, so it can be flipped quickly.
Yeah, and look, again, you've got to feel really good if you're in New Orleans right now, because it always felt like, again, because Mrs. Benson wasn't willing to pay the luxury tax no matter what they said. You're cashing that check every year. That's something, again, that small market teams kind of live off of. But now with that very punitive second apron with the new CBA, maybe there's a crack now for again, the small market teams have an opportunity to win championships. And you're looking at an Oklahoma City team that could be really good for a few years. years to come.
The entire team is going to be back next year. None of those guys are on expiring contracts. They're all going to be back for another season. So Oklahoma City, the Hornets being there in 2005. After Katrina kind of started their NBA dreams, and they took the team from Seattle.
Right.
I pray that the Supersonics get a team back. But
they will. Seattle and Vegas will get it next back. It'll be the next two.
I feel like that's a wrong that needs to be righted there.
I agree.
They got that team stolen from.
Well, I mean, I felt the same thing about the Jazz again in New Orleans. I mean, if you go back to the New Orleans Jazz and the history of the Jazz, and you talk about again the attendance figures and all the people that attend those games, the records that were broken, New Orleans never should have lost the Jazz.
No, they and I know Utah's doing big things. They have a hockey team now also. Their hockey owner also owns the Jazz, so they have multiple owners there.
Well, it'd be nice to have send that nickname back to New Orleans. That'd be a great thing. Garland, one more time. I got a few seconds here. Everything you're involved in, the new show. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, Garland Gillen show is on YouTube. Final Bet is on Thursday nights, where I talk a ton of gambling. You got Garland the Avenue, which is on X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the kids, So I'm on any platform you could possibly think of. My food blog, football, food. So I am everywhere working different angles, man.
And thanks for joining us today.
Yes, indeed.
There you go. Garland Gillen, Fox 8 Sports. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Plenty of ways to catch our program now. There's a QR code on your screen that will take you to the WLAE-TV YouTube channel or my website, ericasher.com. Again, between WLAE-TV, WLAE-TV2, and Pelican Sports Network. Again, you have a lot of chance to be able to catch our program. Set your DVR. You'll never miss the show. You can catch me on the radio, 106.7 The Ticket. That's 4 to 6 weekdays. That's 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Afternoon drive, so make sure you're checking us out. You can listen live at ericasher.com. Also, again, iHeartRadio app, TuneIn Radio app. We have our own app now at 106.7 The Ticket. You can get that at your favorite app store. You can check out our podcasts on all major podcasting platforms, Anchor, Spotify, we're on all of them. And of course, as always, thank you so much for watching Inside New Orleans Sports. I want to thank our underwriters who make this show possible. Please support our underwriters and of course the folks that produce our program here at WLAE-TV and do a great job doing it. Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, Ava Hickey, Margie Ellis, Alex Chacon, Thomas Healy, and of course our great director, William Hill. For Garland, Gillen, I'm Eric Asher. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another edition of Inside New Orleans.